guys? How is everyone doing? I hope you guys are all doing fantastic. Today is March the 30th. Today is March the 30th. I do have a special guest. I've been talking about her for quite some time, and a lot of you also had an opportunity to get to know who she is. And, a lot of you are aware of her, and a lot of you love her. And you guys have been asking me to bring her on. So upon request, and also because she's been my dear friend for quite some time, I'm going to go ahead and bring her on in a sec. But I first want to check something, because every time I do double stream when I have a guest, it always starts a whole new different. Oh, see, that's what I was afraid of. So what I'm going to do, Galactic Jedis, I can see a couple of people pop on because everyone's waiting on the other one. I got to fix this for next time. This is like the third time that this happens. So if you guys could bear with me, I'm going to go ahead and just take that down before I go ahead and continue with the show here, just so that everyone else on the other one could hop into this one. 1 second. Okay. Not a commercial in here. Okay, let's see. Where is that? This one right here. Delete forever. Yes, delete forever. Thank you guys for your patience. I'm just trying to delete the other one so that we can get back to the right one. All right, there we go. We're back in the right one. I appreciate that. All right, so now we're going to start seeing people hop on. Now that the other one is gone. Again, guys, today is the 30th of March. Welcome. We are going to be approaching some unprecedented times very shortly with a lunar followed by a solar eclipse. So today in history, on this very day, there was an event that had a lot to do with one of the white hats that was actually, there was an attempt to assassinate him. Can you guys take a guess? Ronald Reagan in the year 1981, on this very day, the 30th of March, in Washington, there was a failed assassination attempt against US President Ronald Reagan. All right. Some people believe that he was playing both sides, that he had 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Who knows? All right. All throughout history, we know that people like to play the role of the gray, right? The gray zone. In either case, guys, I do have a very special guest today that I am going to have on my show. And this is, like I said, many of you guys have been expecting her for quite some time. She's finally here. Sarah Breskman Cosme, who is a best-selling author of A Hypnotist Journey to Atlantis, A Hypnotist Journey to the Secrets of the Sphinx, and A Hypnotist Journey from the Trail to the Star People. Sarah is a Master Hypnotist, a level 3 practitioner under Dolores Cannon's method QHHT, and a student of Dr. Brian Weiss, with a passion to reveal hidden or undiscovered knowledge vital to the enlightenment of humanity. Sarah won the 2023 Dolores Cannon Award for her research. And by the way, I was there at that event. That was at the Disclosure to the Stars Disclosure Fest, Stairway to the Stars in Vegas last year. And she continues to speak about her work worldwide. Her work is now featured internationally in programs like Fade to Black, of course, Coast to Coast, and Gaia TV. And with no further said, here is Sarah Breskman Cosme. How you doing, Sarah?
Oh, great. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. I had an opportunity to actually meet you during our Global Mass Meditations for the first time, and that was an honor. And then I also had a second opportunity to meet you in person at some of these expos and conferences, which was amazing getting to know you. Your energy is very soft, very positive. You are down to earth, and all you're trying to do is uplift the lives of others through information and awareness and knowledge. And I love that you are in the field of what's, contributing to the great awakening of humanity. And Sarah, welcome to my show. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh, what an introduction. Thank you so much. I feel the same way about you, Ismael. I see what you're doing too. And it's amazing to get together with like-minded people that are trying to do the same things.
Now, I did want to start this off by asking you something that you've actually been talking about a lot lately. And this is the idea of how the eye color is a specific trait in certain lineages or certain races. Can you tell us a little bit more about the eye color, and more so the color hazel?
Yeah, it's so interesting because it wasn't something I was looking for. it's just stuff that started coming through my clients when they were deep under hypnosis. And what I do is I bring a person to the deepest level of trance, and then I access their higher consciousness, which is interesting because it's basically connected to all people, because that saying we are all one is very, very true. And when you use anyone, you go deep within them, you reach the same place, you reach this universal conscious field, and you can find out everything. But this higher consciousness that was coming through kept telling me, eye colors and blood types and things like that, they're indicators, they're clues. And people choose these clues and they choose these indicators that mean something. And what the higher consciousness said through, I'm talking multiple people, because it took a while to really receive and document all this information, was that each iris, every iris, like whether it's an animal, your pet's iris, or your iris, your eyes, it shows the blueprint of your soul. And so essentially what's happening when you're communicating with another soul is your soul is sharing information about where your soul has been and what your soul has done and what lineage you're projecting forth. And that goes into the other person's eyes. So especially hazel eyes with these like different spots, it means they're projecting, usually in general, means you're projecting information from Arcturus. And what's really interesting is that as you're projecting this information, whatever the other person is projecting is coming back, and it's almost like a meeting of this information. But like a lot of times, if you see like a little yellow in the iris, that can often be a sign that the person's projecting information from Andromeda. The green eyes, any green in the eyes is really interesting, because a lot of times it seems like that person is projecting information from Lyra. And what's also interesting is that it's almost like a wind tunnel coming down from Lyra. And what is interesting is that that person is oftentimes not very good around any kind of technology, because they're sharing such a high field of, vibration that they kind of mess up everybody else's technology, any kind of green at all. And and then blue, a lot of times they're projecting information from the water planet. Then brown eyes are really interesting because that's like an ancient projection a lot of times, or it could be from the inner earth, or even just a soul that is projecting the fact that they've been inhabiting the earth plane, and they're very, very ancient. So brown eyes are usually projecting lots of wisdom, as what they usually project in like ancient lineages. But it's so fascinating because I never start to look for this stuff. And then it's really interesting because different freckles or different birthmarks mean something. Like if you have 3 dots in a row, maybe it's like 3 freckles. It just look like 3 freckles, but they're in a very straight row. A lot of times that's either like a marking that you're communicating with beings from like Orion's belt. Or if you have like one specific, I've noticed that a lot of my clients, if they have one specific birthmark, it looks like a birthmark, but it's almost like a birthmark, kind of like a freckle on their left foot on the arch. It's almost like a telltale marking that these people come from this water planet, one of the water planets. And then, some people will just take a nap and wake up with like a triangle. And sometimes that's because they're on the other, like a triangle, whether it's different birthmarks in kind of like a triangle fashion. And that's because they're part of this space program. They have another version of themselves that's in a different place, so to speak, part of this space program, but this um, marking comes up as like a clue. And there's a lot of people like this. It's really fascinating. And then goes into the blood types. I mean, I can tell you more and probably talk a million years about
Oh,
this,
well, this is fascinating information. This is what my audience is all into, so
because
it's
these are
amazing.
clues and it means something. I never knew that blood types meant anything. But like a lot of times, and this is general, and this is just what's been coming through a lot of different clients. If you have like the A blood type, a lot of times within your bloodline is a lot of Norse information that's kind of like stored dormantly in our blood type. So if you have the A blood type, a lot of times people with the A blood type will also have another clue, and that's anemia. Now, a lot of times that's because they are reincarnations of the fairy realm or something along those lines. And you can totally activate your DNA, your soul DNA, if you go to Europe and you could go to a place like Glastonbury and you could put your hands on some of these megalithic structures. It actually does something to your DNA and it like reawakens it. So different blood types can reawaken their DNA if they go to different places on the globe, which is really fascinating. Like the O blood type has almost everything from all of these different blood types. So the O blood type is very special. People with the O blood type seem to carry within their soul DNA and their DNA information from Egypt, Atlantis, and Lemuria. And so a lot of people with the O blood type, it's very beneficial if they were to go to Egypt, say, and touch some of these megalithic structures, that actually activates something within them. And people with the AB blood type, they seem to be more balanced people. Like they're usually people that are, they find it easier to get into spirituality. And people with the B blood type, oh, well, also people with the B blood type seem to be a direct descendant from a specific type of extraterrestrials. And that's why so many of them have a lot of contact memories and feel as if they're contacted a lot. And that's for a reason, because they are the direct descendants. And then the people with B blood type seem to really tune in and tap into information from like the South Pacific or from the Pacific areas. And they can tune in and pick up a lot of information from Lemuria, which is really fascinating.
Wow.
And then as you go deeper into these blood types, you realize that some of them come with abilities. Like a lot of people that have the A blood type, or even that telltale sign as of anemia, because anemia is usually a clue, because the Fae or the fairy realm couldn't handle iron. So if you have anemia, it's almost always that's usually what it is. It's like a clue to remind you you have some abilities within you. So a lot of people with anemia and the A blood type actually have the ability to see into different realms. It's really interesting. So if you have, well, all the blood types have different abilities that seem to come with it. Like if you have Rh negative blood, there's a very specific ability that seems to come with Rh negative blood. They seem to be very natural leaders. And what's interesting is a lot of pharaohs had Rh negative blood, red hair, and astigmatism. And astigmatism is not a disability. It actually comes from an ancient ability to see into different dimensions. But that's why the eye shape is different. So we've just totally lost these abilities. Just like the different ability where people's eyes can change color. You know, if you have freckles, if you're a person that develops freckles, or your eyes change color from like blue to green, that actually comes from an ancient ability where people used to be more in tune with the earth. And so during the different seasons, the hair color would actually naturally change. So actually these people can tune into this ancient ability and see if they can rediscover it. But there's so many clues that we have before we come in to kind of like realign us with our path. And every single thing means something. I mean, we're here to do a job, we're here to do a mission. And that really is to rediscover who we really are, because we've never been taught these things. We never talk about them, but we're all of a sudden starting to reawaken to the fact that we're like these powerful star seeds that have come here, you know, to reawaken everybody else and to reawaken ourselves and move through this ascension, basically.
Absolutely. Now, you were taught under the tutelage of Dolores Cannon, correct?
Well, I started right after she passed, like,
Oh, right
literally
after.
right after she
You never
passed.
had a chance to meet
I
her.
never got to meet her in person.
Okay.
So I studied directly under her daughter,
Got
and before the quarantine, and I actually became an instructor. So
it.
before the quarantine, I taught with her daughter and assisted Julia Cannon all over the world and taught Dolores's method. But it was interesting because I never met Dolores Cannon in person, but I definitely feel like she comes through a lot of my sessions. And when she comes through, I always, the first time she came through, I was so excited. I just couldn't believe that she was coming through my
Yeah.
sessions, and she was mad at me.
What?
Yeah.
Why would she be mad at you? If you
She
don't mind me
was she wasn't mad, but she was
asking.
just very strict with me,
Yeah.
and
No.
she wanted to tell me that I needed to this is when I first started. And I was so excited that she was coming through in a session, and she wanted to tell me that I had forgotten to write my client's name at the top of the paper. But she totally busted me and
Really?
and totally called me out, and I was just shocked at first, but then I realized why she had told me that, because she wanted me to listen deeper. And I took that to heart and I started listening deeper, and I feel like just that little simple message that I thought was her being mad at me was actually really helpful, because I started to kind of listen and pick up more clues, and I realized she was actually helping me a lot. Now I feel like I have a different type of relationship with her. Like I feel I not a medium or anything like that, but I definitely feel her sometimes in the room, sometimes with clients, and then sometimes she wakes me up in the morning. Like what it feels so funny to me.
Really?
Right before I'll be speaking at a conference sometimes, or I'll be talking about this work. Occasionally, I'll feel her almost like she's reaching through the veil, and she'll touch my shoulder right before my alarm goes off. And she'll usually say something like, "Okay, let's go," or, hurry up, or something like that. And it makes me feel good because I feel like she's helping me, or like she has my back kind of
Well,
thing.
of course, you're continuing her work, so she works with you as one of your spirit guides as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. So, like, what inspired you to like dive into the realm of hypnosis and past life regression? And how old were
Well,
you when you
I
like
was
felt passionate about this?
Well, I never wanted to get into any of this stuff at all. I wasn't into
Oh,
it. I was actually on the other side of the fence. I was very scientific, and I wanted to become a psychologist, actually. So I went to school to become a psychologist. And then I had an opportunity to go into the field.
mhm.
So before going to graduate school, I had to do an internship where my job was basically to give everyone their medication and counsel them with the techniques that I had learned. And I was so excited to help people, just because, like most light workers or most people interested in helping people, I had just suffered so much as a kid because I had so many problems. So I got into psychology and wanted to become a psychologist because I didn't want people to suffer like I did. And when I got into the field, when I was doing my internship, it took me less than a week to feel as if every single thing I had learned in college was just an absolute blatant lie. I mean, I felt when I was literally in the field, and this is my own experience, that I could not believe that this was the leading edge of thought. I thought, wait a minute. So, all these years, I had studied and learned all these different techniques, and I had learned so much about the medications. And I believed what I heard, and I believed what I learned in college. And then, as soon as I'm in the field, as if that nothing worked. I mean, there were no success stories. I never saw one person come take all these heavy duty pharmaceuticals and then leave happy. It was the direct opposite. And I noticed that a lot of these people, these patients, were being tested on. So, as one of the counselors, I was instructed that the people being tested on would wear wristbands, And I was to call this number if there were any severe side effects, like death. And there were. And so I saw firsthand the corruption of the system. And I thought, wow, I cannot believe this is the leading edge of thought. This is the culmination of all my studies. This is what I'm supposed to do in order to help people. It was
Mhm.
just, in my mind, just absolute lie. And so I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't become a psychologist. But this was my own experience. And I'm not knocking the field. This was just my experience for a reason, because I wasn't supposed to do that job. Instead, I thought, well, if I could help people get to the very root cause of their
Mhm.
issue,
Mhm.
then maybe I would be able to help them better.
Mhm.
So I decided I wanted to be a master hypnotist then. And that's how I started getting into this field. I still didn't want to do anything woo woo like what I do now. I, I wanted to just be a master hypnotist, and I wanted
Mhm.
to regress people in their childhood to the root cause of their trauma. I didn't even really believe in past lives because I didn't grow up with any spirituality. But in order to become a master hypnotist, I had to lose weight, quit smoking, and I had to do past life regression. So it was 2009 when I became a master hypnotist, and past life regression was becoming very popular because of Dr. Brian Weiss. So
Mhm.
I was sort of forced to do it, but it was pretty obvious when I was studying, when I would have actual people come for my practice sessions, because I had to do a lot of practice sessions, that people were healing themselves and they were just coming in for one session. And I thought, well, I've always wanted to do something that actually worked. So maybe this is what I should try to do, even though I wasn't really sure I believed that people were actually seeing past lives. I just wasn't sure. I was very skeptical about it. But
Mhm.
I noticed that people were actually healing themselves. And
Mhm.
because I had enough people heal themselves in these past life regression sessions, that's why I studied with Dr. Brian Weiss. And so I did his
Mhm.
method for many years, and he is very, very sweet. I really, really enjoyed learning from him. And I started getting into spirituality through working with him. And I started to expand my mind and thought, maybe this is real.
Mhm. I mean, by far, yeah. I mean, I think at that point you probably had a transformation, a conscious transformation, right?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I started seeing the world from a different perspective. And I
Mhm.
started seeing that it was almost like everything happened for a reason. I could see why I had to go through everything I went through. And I just got into spirituality, which for the first time. And then, like most people in the beginning of their awakening, I was so mad. I was so angry that I had been lied to about so many different things. I mean,
I remember
it's,
that stage.
yeah, remember?
Real awakening for me. Actually, I was born awakened, but then I had to suppress it. And all of a sudden, when it hit me again, I was like, that makes a lot of sense. But at the same time, I was just like yourself. I was kind of pissed off that, they were feeding me this, false reality that was not really even tangible or real.
And then I went through the stage of where I wanted to tell everyone because I thought, oh, watch out for
Mhm.
this environmental thing, which I won't talk about, and this one, and be careful of this. And no one wanted to hear it.
Oh, trust me. I was talking about that back in 2008 when I published my first book, which I actually just republished it again. Thank God. I was able to bring it back to circulation. But all of this stuff, the entire Western, I want to try to speak in code field, right? The
Right.
Orthodox field was intelligently crafted by the masterminds of the German Nazi scientists. That's all I'm going to say.
Yes.
Okay, and that's exactly. So, anyways, moving on. Can you
Careful.
share? I know, gotta be careful, right? Can you share a particular fascinating experience or revelation from your sessions with clients? Like
Oh,
anything
sure.
that just like blew your mind.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Um, oh gosh, there's been so many. Well,
Your favorites.
I mean, one of my first ones really was when I worked with my friend Jen, because I had known Jen for over 10 years. And many people have heard this story because this is really how I got into Atlantis and stuff like this. Because I wasn't looking to write a book. In fact, I didn't really want to write any books. Maybe you had this same experience. I just wanted to be a regular person. And I did want to get really good at Dolores Cannon's method. And I needed a subject right away to regress them. And I wanted to use somebody that would volunteer. I didn't want to use a paying client to regress them because I had to videotape this person. So I wanted just somebody that wouldn't mind me videotaping them and would just let me do a session with them. So I asked my friend Jen, who I'd been friends with for over 10 years, and she was the teacher at our kids' school, and she was very scientific and just really didn't believe in any of this stuff at all. She didn't believe in extraterrestrials. She didn't believe in past lives, really. So I really wasn't sure why I even asked her. But I told Jen, hey, will you volunteer and be my subject? And, maybe you'll find out about different things, like if you find out that you've had a different lifetime, but you can find out your true purpose, and you can even heal yourself if you have any issues, if you have any physical issues, because it's really easy to heal yourself in these type of sessions because you're tuning in so deeply to yourself, and then you can find out the root cause of whatever plagues you. Basically, it's easy. And she just stared at me, and she said she didn't realize that it was exactly what I did, because she hadn't told anyone from the school, but she was suffering with this brain condition. Only her husband knew that she was suffering from this brain condition, and she was really devastated. She was only 32 years old at the time, and she had young children, and she was working really closely with this team of specialists at the University of Miami, and they told her, there's no cure for this brain condition. It's called pseudotumor cerebri. Basically, what that was the flooding of spinal fluid into her brain, but hers was severe. So it was she had a huge risk of a stroke, and she was actually losing the vision out of her left eye. And it was so painful with the swelling of her brain that she was put on this heavy duty medication that the team of specialists at the University of Miami put her on. And they said maybe with this medication, she might live another 20 years because hers was so severe. So she was devastated, especially because she had just had another baby. So she said, I will definitely do whatever. I'll be your subject. So I regressed her and I brought her deep under hypnosis. And she remembered this past lifetime in the 1970s where she was uncovering with a different hypnotist information about these ancient societies, ancient civilizations. And we started going into these ancient civilizations, and it was amazing her recall. And this was my friend that I had known for 10 years, so I knew she didn't know this stuff before. She could remember in so much detail this beautiful ancient civilization in the South Pacific where the women were the leaders there. And it was interesting because the women never had to teach their daughters. They would just pass through the subconscious information about plants and what kind of plants held what type of properties, and like what plants had psychedelic properties and things like that. And because this knowledge was so important, the women were the leaders of this ancient society. And then she realized that there were these visitors that started showing up, and these visitors were humans because when they would land, they came in these like travel spheres that were very advanced compared to her people. Her people were very advanced spiritually, but these people that started visiting were very advanced in their technology. And these travel spheres worked by sucking the energy up from the earth, and they used these fans underneath it to create a propulsion um, mechanism that would propel their craft. And it was like a stealth technology because you would not be able to see inside the craft until it landed. And when they got out, they had very high tech uniforms, but they were people. They were a lot thinner than her people, and they were a lot paler in their skin color. And these visitors were looking for a type of immunity because there was a lot of sickness in their lands at the time. And
Mhm.
they were looking for something, and they were looking for these specific crystals. And when they could not get them because the group that where my friend was remembering, which we came to understand her civilization with the women leaders, was called Lemuria here now, but it was not called that back then. They called their society Aman. So she learned that they had these special crystals, but they could not give them to this advanced group that we came to understand were the Atlanteans, because we didn't know who these civilizations were
Mhm.
at the time we first started doing the session until a little bit later in the
Mhm.
session. So when they couldn't get what they wanted, they took her as a prisoner and made her watch as they set off in rifts under the ocean, these like atomic like devices, because they had nuclear power. And they
Mhm.
created these massive tidal waves that basically sunk the entire land. And she watched from above. And this is her recollection. So these are her memories. So she watched from above as these two massive tidal waves just sunk the entire large civilization where she came from. And then
Mhm.
she spent about 60 years as a prisoner in this really advanced place that we later came to understand was Atlantis. And so, after that lifetime, I, like every Dolores Cannon session, I asked her higher consciousness, why did you show her that lifetime? You could have shown her many different lifetimes for her to see. And they said the two of us had chosen before coming into this life that we would meet each other and we would be able to uncover this information in this way that she had tried earlier in the 1970s, and it was too early for this information. But right now, the two of us, were back again, and the evolution of the consciousness has reached a point in our time where this information can come back. And they said that we had both agreed that we would uncover it and share it with the world, that the world had been waiting for thousands of years for this information to come. And the higher consciousness said that I would be sharing it and that would be my job. And I did not believe it at all. I was just thought it was a good story. But
Wow.
then but it was true.
Now this is what propelled you to write your book, A Hypnotist's Journey to Atlantis, correct?
I basically had no choice. I
Mhm.
didn't set out to write it. But right after I asked the higher self, why did they show her that lifetime, I
Mhm.
asked what was the very root cause of her brain condition. And her higher self said the root cause was just the catalyst to get her to come do the session with me, because she would have never done a session with me if she didn't have some type of motivating factor, which is the truth, because she wasn't into any of this stuff. So then I asked, well, can you release it, since we found out the root cause and she did what she was supposed to do? And they said yes. And my friend Jen could feel it draining behind her left eye. It just started all of a sudden flooding down past her left eye and
Mhm.
draining. And she could start, when she came back out of the session, she could see. And then she went back to her team of specialists and she was completely healed. They couldn't believe it. But during this time period, I had this weird phenomenon started to happen to me. And this is why I had to write this book,
Mhm.
because so many other clients would come in for their sessions and they wouldn't know one another. And I never led them like, okay, let's go back to Atlantis or Lemuria or whatever. These people were just recounting the same time period and they would add on to the story. And the higher consciousness would come through other people and say, you need to write this book, that the world has been waiting for thousands and thousands of years for
Wow.
this information. They kept telling me that I had chosen to do this and that they said, just self-publish your books. I self-publish all my books and they share it for me. Yeah, I did not do anything. I don't even write these books. That's the thing. I would love to take credit, like as if I'm the writer, but I am totally not the writer. I am like a scribe. I literally am a scribe, just writing down what is coming through these sessions when my clients are deep under hypnosis. So I published my first book, like they said to do. And then I started seeing the aftermath about 2 weeks later. About 2 weeks later, I started to get feedback that people were healing themselves from the book. Like they would just read it, and it was almost like they were processing these lifetimes, because that's essentially what the higher consciousness does. They use me to kind of get information out that actually helps people heal on different levels, and they don't have to experience it personally.
It makes sense. Healing old collective dramas, pretty much. Old collective dramas from ancient times, ancient cataclysms, ancient disasters.
Because we're moving into a new phase. And I think as a collective, we're all back again so we can release this trauma and we can then move on to a new cycle finally, because we've been repeating this cycle so many times. And so this is the way that the higher self kind of uses me to help people heal these, past lives.
Now, have you been receiving any messages coming for the 8th of April, the solar eclipse, in any of your sessions?
I haven't received anything devastating or anything like that. No, I haven't. What about you? Because I'm really curious about what you've been receiving.
From what I've heard is that that's going to be a day where apparently all the different multiple timelines that are coexisting at the same time are going to be collapsing into only two,
Oh,
perhaps even three. There will be a third timeline. So we're going to go from an infinite number of versions of parallel Earths that are coexisting into a only three. That's going to create a bifurcation of three different timelines going into different directions.
well, but that would be wonderful if that is the nexus point, because there's so many potentials for the nexus point. And then I have heard that in my sessions, not about, April 8th, but about the nexus point and then going into three distinct timelines. And so it's so confirming that you're receiving that information as well. And the three distinct, right now, there's an infinite number, of course, is what I've been receiving. And then after the nexus point, and that would be a wonderful nexus point.
Oh, yes, because it's signaling the fall of the old kingdom. Their eclipses are associated with the rise and fall of kings, and so throughout ancient times. And so this is definitely on a larger scale where it's signaling the rise of a new era, a new dawn.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. So, can you tell us a little bit about a hypnotist's journey to the secrets of the Sphinx, and what is underneath the paw of the Sphinx? Have you gotten any information on that?
Yes, what's really interesting, well, I got into that information by accident too, because I never choose what I'm going to write about. I just set out and ask the higher self, what do you want me to write about next? And it's almost like different clients will just come together and feed into the story. It's just like what Dolores Cannon was doing. It's so much fun for me, honestly, and it's really doesn't take much effort, although I do the sessions,
Right.
But all of a sudden, information about the Sphinx started coming through, and I didn't understand at all why that would even be important. But the Sphinx is very important. And there are many Sphinx-like structures all over this Earth-like plane, whatever you want to call it. A lot are hidden, but they all seem to be like these broadcast systems. So the Sphinx is also like the mustard point where people would hide things in the Sphinx, and it would be a place where you could really connect to your galactic origins, because the Sphinx is connected to many different galactic races, which is interesting because it's almost like this broadcast system. So the Sphinx, the one in Egypt that I was talking about, was actually built on a very special rock, because this rock came almost like an asteroid and embedded itself onto the planetary sphere. And what this rock can do is it can magnify and store and harness information and broadcast it out. Even on Mars, there's like this obelisk that is communicating, or that is built to communicate directly with the Sphinx. And the Sphinx is broadcasting to other different
Planets. Yeah.
points. Yes, planets, if you want to call it. Yeah. So underneath the Sphinx, there used to be, or what people have seen when they tune in, there used to be a ship there right under the left paw, and it kind of had like almost like a pebble-like look to it. But the most important thing but that's not there. When people try to locate it, they see that and a lot of artifacts underneath the Vatican, which is interesting, about a couple miles down underneath the Vatican. But what was really important that was taken from the Sphinx, but no one can figure out how to use it because they won't be able to, was this looking glass. So there was this looking glass that essentially you could look into and you would be able to uncover and find out information about the history of everything that has ever happened, like in this air, in this planet, and anywhere else, like our true history. And you can't just have anyone use that looking glass. You really have to have a specific like bloodline and genetic makeup to be able to use that looking glass.
That does make a lot of sense. Yes. Even the piloted systems of the Galactic Federation fleets are controlled through genetics, by the way. Very,
Yeah.
very true. Blood type. Yeah.
Yes. I mean,
Confirmed.
so it's great that that our work confirms each other, which is really great.
Mhm.
Because it's always great to know different perspectives too, because everybody, it's interesting to see how
Mhm.
people find this information and they go about it through different methods. Like I try to study and learn as much as I can through this method, and it's wonderful to hear your perspectives. It's just great. Um,
Well, they overlap each other. I mean, your work helps to validate a lot of my discoveries, and then my work validates a lot of your discoveries as well.
yeah, that's great. But but the Sphinx is really interesting too, because no matter what people take from it, what a lot of people don't understand are there are very special light codes that emanate up out of any sacred site, because the Sphinx is built on a very important energetic grid system. And
Mhm.
so not only is the Sphinx broadcasting outwards, but it's also broadcasting inwards. And it's a very powerful point of energy where the Sphinx is located. And what a lot of people don't understand is at any of these points, there are light codes that emanate up off of the ground. They also come through the hieroglyphs, because some of these hieroglyphs are like these special symbols that are transmitting energy and light codes. So essentially, it doesn't matter what people take from the Sphinx, because if you can go to one of these places and you can kind of relax your mind, and maybe it would be really beneficial to touch some of these structures, what's actually happening is these structures are and light codes are using your own crown chakra, because you are the key. And so it uses your crown chakra and it downloads to you the information. So it doesn't matter really. I mean, it does matter that people steal these artifacts and they try to hide them from themselves or try to reverse engineer things like that. But you can still access it, because each person has the power to really unlock these light codes, and it uses your mind to do that. And it's really not that hard to do that if you go to these places, but people don't know.
True, true. Now, before I get to what's next in your projects, I do want to ask one final question. Are there any misconceptions about hypnosis and past life regression that you frequently encounter, perhaps by people who are very scientifically oriented and don't believe in anything other than what they measure? Or how do you address that you know um, I guess opposition?
Well, I was a little worried going into hypnosis to begin with myself. So I remember what I was worried about, because I was worried that if a person, or if I was under hypnosis, that I could have been taken over.
Hmm.
And I worried about it because I knew that in some other religions, hypnosis was against the rules and it was considered dangerous. So I was very skeptical and worried going into it. But what I came to understand is there's a reason why it's labeled dangerous. And that is because once you can go into hypnosis and you can tune in deeply to yourself, you uncover all these truths and you could no longer be controlled after that. You realize how much power you have. And also it's impossible to take over a person in that state, because in that state you have more awareness and you feel way more powerful and in control over your own energy. You be fully aware and protected, and nobody could take over you, especially not in that type of state. I
Mhm.
also thought you could get stuck or something bad could happen to you, but it's not the case, because when you're in a session like this, basically you're in the same state as when you wake up in the morning and you
Mhm.
still have access to your dream. In that state, that's the deep theta state. And it feels like you're very much awake and aware, but that's the deep theta state. And that's all it feels like. And you feel like you're always going to remember that dream. You think, oh, I'm always going to remember this dream. And then you wake up all the way and you've forgotten that dream because you weren't fully awake. So it feels just like that. And it's very, very safe. Not only is it safe, but it's actually really good for your immune system to be in that state.
Yeah, I've heard about that. It's, reaching the different states of consciousness, which really correspond to different dimensional bands of realities. Each state, there's 5 states of consciousness. Well, there's different states of each state of consciousness brings you to the next dimension, if that makes any sense.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yes, it does make sense.
Awesome,
Definitely.
awesome. And then also, finally, so where can people find you? And also, if you have any upcoming events or projects that you're going to be working on, let us know.
Thanks so much. Well, you can find me on my website, theholistichehypnotist.com. And I'm fully booked up for sessions for the next 2 years. They just go so fast. So I've developed these 3-day workshops, which I feel are much better than just one session, to be honest, because I developed them in a way that people can really do deep inner work while doing these past life regressions. And I also mix it with like inner child, healing and things like that. I find that it gives you more benefits than just one session, and that's why I developed them. And people really get a lot out of them. And I feel like it's also a practice for these new earth communities, because essentially people are coming together from all over the place and they're really feeling what it's like to be part of a tribe again and to really do something healing like this as part of a group. I'm also going to be speaking at Contact in the Desert, May 30th through June 3rd. And I'm going to teach how to tap into the quantum field using self hypnosis techniques. So that'll be a lot of fun. And I'm trying to finish my 4th book, which,
Wow,
yeah,
that's
hopefully,
fascinating.
hopefully will be done soon.
Yeah, it's, writing a book, it's not, you can't just do it overnight. It takes time. And, it's a lot more complex than what people think.
That
It's
is for
not
sure.
just, you know what I mean? But, okay, so you are the author of 3 books so far, right? A
Yes.
Hypnotist Journey to Atlantis, A Hypnotist Journey to the Secrets of the Sphinx, and A Hypnotist Journey from the Trail to the Star People. And are they available on Amazon or on your website? Where can people find your books?
They're all on my website and Amazon, and they're all on Audible as well. So either one of those.
Audio as well?
Audio as well. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Oh, yeah, Audible, of course. Now, we do have about 10 minutes left. Would you like to take some questions from the audience? Do you have
Sure.
access to the questions?
Yes, I do. Let's
Okay,
see.
I'll let you control that.
Hi, guys. You have such amazing people on here. They're all so wonderful.
Yeah, you've been getting a lot of love through the chat. They
Oh,
love your work.
oh. Well, I love you guys too. Well, I saw one sort of question. Someone tried QHHT once, but they weren't able to be hypnotized. Well, I think that's great that you put that on there. Thank you. Because a lot of people don't realize that they're under hypnosis, and that's the problem that a lot of people, that not a lot of people, but some people face. And really, it is that same state as when you wake up in the morning and you still have access to your dream, and you think you're always going to remember that dream because it's so fresh in your mind. That's essentially what a lot of these sessions feel like. You think you're always going to remember these, this session, and you feel as if you're fully awake. But then as soon as you wake up, you realize you weren't fully awake. So if you want to try QHHT again, just remember that it doesn't feel like anything. So you don't know that you're in hypnosis. So try it again. You're amazing too, you guys.
Now, this is an odd question, but I'm sure you've heard of the concept that we are living in some sort of hologram simulation, and that there are these NPCs, people with no souls, that are just part of the background. Have you ever hypnotized an NPC? That's just not.
I've never hypnotized an NPC, but I love that question.
It is
Because in a sense, I don't know if I have, because basically everything that you see in front of you is being rendered by your own consciousness. Really nothing is there. You're rendering it based on what information you're taking in that goes into your pineal gland. So your mind is filling in the blanks around you, and you can see how this works and how you're creating this reality. If you're driving in the car and all of a sudden you let your mind wander, you'll notice something. It's a really cool experiment. You'll notice all the colors of the cars seem to be the same after a little while. And as soon as your brain recognizes this, it'll show you a different color, a different like color of a car.
Somebody said an NPC would not care about it, reading of, because apparently they're just, they're probably with no soul, meaning that they have no existence. They're just literally just, empty shells. Do you mind typing in the private chat, and then I'll copy it and paste and put it over in the other chat, your website, please, where people can order your books?
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, you're getting a lot of love here. Most everyone is hypnotized these days. Okay, we have to do the mass media, of course, religion, and our programming. Let's see.
Yes, we have so much programming.
All right, there it is. Let me go ahead and put it over on the other side of the chat. Come on a second, guys. People are asking for your website. Oops. There we go.
Well, there's a lot with transgendering. Yes, there's a lot. I think that if you just follow the money behind anything, you can see where it's coming from.
I'm going to go ahead and pin her. How do you pin it? I'm trying to figure this thing out here, but just to let you guys know, at the end of the live, I will also put her website link in the description for those that are not getting it at this time. But it's on there. It's there. There it is. All right, let's see. A couple more questions. Maybe any good questions. If you guys could also please type your questions in capital letters. Thank you. Let's see.
How did you know I was a Gemini?
Oh, there you go. See?
Maybe
Cosmo girl.
it's pretty good.
Yeah, just to let you know, Sarah, we have some people that are pretty spiritually gifted here, intuitive empaths that are just reading energy.
That's amazing. Wow, I'm really impressed.
Mm-hmm. Now, somebody was asking, since you are booked, is there anybody else that you would recommend?
Well, you can go on Dolores Cannon's page and find a practitioner in your area. So all you would do, if you want to find a person that lives close to you, you can go to QHHTofficial.com and you can find somebody near you. And, one thing that people say to do that does help is just look at the different pictures that you see there. And if you see somebody that kind of looks like they resonate with you, then maybe, pursue that person.
Now, I do have a super chat from Stuart Williams. He's asking, if I wear a red jumper, my eyes go red. Why?
Well, I've never seen eyes go red, like the iris. Are you talking about the color actually goes red? That's really interesting. Does the color go red or do your eyes go red?
I guess he's Stuart Williams. She's asking you the question to be more specific. Let's see, any other questions here? So yeah, Contact in the Desert. That is perhaps one of the biggest. I heard it was the biggest. It used to compete with Conscious Life Expo, but I think that Contact in the Desert has gone thousands of people. I would say about what, 10,000, 20,000 for the whole weekend?
It's really big. It's a lot of fun. Well, I saw somebody had a question that her son has one brown eye and one green eye, and that
Oh, yeah,
usually
I
means
see that a lot.
they're projecting from two different places.
Mhm.
So I think it's important to understand that we are so multidimensional, and sometimes it shows up like that just as a clue, like that you are multidimensional, projecting from. So the brown in the eye would show that that person has lived multiple times on the earth plane, and they would be considered like an ancient old soul. And then green projecting from Lyra, I think that's a beautiful balance like that of projection coming into most likely to teach something. Somebody else asked about the inability to visualize, and you can still do a session like this even if you can't visualize. You can just use all of your senses. You don't have to see the memories at all.
This is a interesting one. Have you had any sessions with like cosmic creators? I guess what she's trying to say is in any of your sessions has like high level creators come through where they're like, we created this universe or we created that universe. I don't know. Maybe that's what she's asking.
Yes, definitely. I've definitely
There it
had
is.
that come through in sessions, and I think those type of sessions are really beautiful, actually, because we all could probably tap into that. We all could probably remember that because we're all part of this ancient group that have just been traveling, and expanding our consciousness. And we were all important. We're all deep down, all one and part of the same, higher consciousness, so to speak, or God, or whatever you want to call it, source, or whatever.
Exactly. Totally agree. And that's one thing a lot of the people who are in this community, like ourselves and others, believe in, which is the truth.
Someone asked about eyesight. In general, the body is just a literal messenger. So the reason why doing meditation or hypnosis like this or Dolores Cannon's method makes it so easy to heal is because since the body is a literal messenger, when you tune deep into yourself, you can find out what the message is. And in general, a lot of times anything with the eyes is just because you either don't want to see clearly. Literally, if your eyes are blurry, it could be you don't want to see things clearly. And then you can be more of an investigator and use the clue that your eye is telling you, like, do you not want to see things that have happened in the past, or do you not want to see things close up? You could just literally read the message that your body is sending you and find the clue as to what it's sharing with you. Same with hearing, a lot of times that could come from, if it's in the left ear, if you have trouble hearing the left ear, it could come from the past. You were being yelled at, or you didn't want to hear things from the past. And the right side of the body is in general stuff going on right now. It's a very literal messenger. So you can just explore and investigate.
Yep, makes a lot of sense, and I totally agree. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and put her contact. Oh wait, that's Cosmo Girl. Sorry.
Astigmatism is usually it comes from an ancient ability to see into different dimensions. That's why
Yes,
the eye shape is different.
I happen to have stigmatism, by the way.
Oh, that makes
And,
so much
yep,
sense.
and my eyes are also hazel. They change color, mainly like
Oh,
alpine green hazel with a little bit of golden in the center.
okay, that's very galactic, especially with astigmatism.
Mhm.
Do you have Rh negative blood too?
I do actually.
Oh my gosh, that's like the gift of the stars. So that's really a powerful combination with
Yeah, we,
astigmatism and green eyes and the hazel. Wow.
depending on what I wear, sometimes they're like gray, and then sometimes they look green, dark green, like an alpine dark green, like forest green. And then, but yet at the center, I mean, no, at the center, they get turquoise, like it starts mixing with light blue. I'm sorry, at the outer edges is yellow, light brown. It's weird.
Interesting. Do you have a crown around your pupil too, or no? Because usually a little crown, like a little, looks like a copper crown around the pupil, is a telltale sign, projection from the Pleiades. But it sounds like you have a lot of Lyra and Arcturus, and I mean, you have like the whole combination that was considered the gift of the stars at the hybridization program was like a success, basically.
Well, I do feel like I am a hybrid soul, and I've been here and I've been there, and I've been kind of all over the place in a version of me. All right. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today. You have been amazing and full of knowledge and wisdom and information. I will also put, guys, her link in the description for those that watch it on the replay, or for those that want to order any of her 3 books. And Sarah, what's going to be the name of the next book to come? Have you gotten one yet?
I have, but I can't tell you yet. But it is going to be about this mystical place called Avalon, which is basically
Avalon.
just learning more about these other, realms, other dimensions, because this history is making its way back into the consciousness now.
Avalon was also a planet located in the Lyra constellation.
Amazing, amazing.
And then, of course, many people hear about the story of King Arthur and the courts of Wessex, right? The courts of Camelot.
Well, they do, but it's not really what's important according to the higher consciousness for this book. It's mostly just reawakening people that have lived during that time and releasing this trauma that they carry.
Now, would it be possible to just address one more super chat from Simone?
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. So it says, last year up at 3 straight line. Wait, what does it say? Last year showed up at 3 straight line dots, like birthmark on my left arm, and 3 dots triangle shape on my right shoulder. Idea?
Yeah. So any right side body clues would be, it sounds like you're part of a space program, like that you are probably galactically, not just obviously living in this dimension, but 3 dots in a triangle is usually like a sign that you are also, I don't know, maybe like a warrior or something in a different dimension. I wouldn't be surprised if you wake up kind of tired sometimes because you're doing stuff on the other, in a different plane while you're sleeping. Usually 3 straight lines in a row would be communication or a lot of contact from beings from anywhere in like near Orion's belt, just sort of as like a clue. But the triangle is definitely very special.
Thank you for answering that. And as a reminder, everybody, before I go ahead and, actually, you know what I'm going to do, if it's okay? I'm just going to stick around and answer questions because, the team is here, and I would hate to just end the live without answering their questions. So I'm going to go ahead and just let Sarah go. Thank you so much. Again, her link will be in the description for those that want to order her books and find out more about her events. Contact in the Desert is right around the corner, June, I believe.
Yeah, May 30th through June 3rd.
You can catch her there and meet her in person. She is amazing, guys. She's got a beautiful energy about her. And Sarah, thank you so much for the work that you do. Appreciate that.
You too, Ismael. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me on. It was wonderful getting to chat with you and your amazing group.
Thank you. Hopefully we can have you back in next time in a month or so
I love it.
All right, awesome. Have a good night, Sarah.
Bye, you too.
Bye. All right, guys, there you go. Sarah Breskman Cosme, who has been doing this for quite some time and has had a major transformation, going from a person who was, very rigid when it came to the scientific community, right? The old way of thinking, the scientific method and the laws of physics, to a person who believed in the supernatural, metaphysical knowledge, the other realms, extraterrestrials, other advanced civilizations. Complete turnaround. That is amazing. Sarah Breskman Cosme for you guys. Again, her link will be in the description at the end of the live. So I'm going to stick around, guys. Thank you so much for the love. I'm reading the chat here as it goes. I'm going to stick around for another, say, 20 to 30 minutes for a few more questions and answers. I am so happy that, you guys are here. Actually, let me give you guys a shout out. Let's see who's here. All right, I forgot to give you guys a shout out. I see Radiant Guardians is in the house. Who else is in the house? Galactic Rose 177 is in the house. Oops, what did I hit here? All right, come on. Anyways, I hit something. There we go. All right, who else is in the house? Shakina is in the house. Who else is in the house? Jovan Benisasio, Ricky Lee 111. Margarita Dorocher is in the house. Who else is in the house? Caroline Brown is in the house. Leila Maucha is in the house. Emily Kerrigan is in the house. Cosmo Grill. Sylvia Vidal. Jeff, hey brother, what's up, Jeff? Max Hill is in the house. Pleiadius Soul is in the house. New York is in the house. Galactic Rose 117 is in the house. Tino Petronicio. Tino, I'm going to see you in class Wednesday, brother. Class 4. Class 4. Let's see who else is in the house. Kathy Charms is in the house. Mathis Chronicles is in the house. Sherry Noel. Connie Tate. Who else is in the house? And all 612 people that are in the house. I am so happy and that you guys are here. I wanted to extend more gratitude for you guys, especially for those that ordered the secret government, guys. Thank you so much. You guys, your minds are going to be blown with the information that is revealed in this book. Tell us the truth about Easter. Well, just like Christmas and any other holiday season, it was a pagan festival known to the Romans as Saturnalia, right? It was about venerating Semiramis, who was also known as the Babylonian queen, Semiramis, who gave birth to Belial, or Nimrod, as they would say. Well, the son of Belial was the third dimensional Nimrod. So that's what it is. It's just another ritualistic Cabal holiday that was incorporated during the times of the Roman Empire. And so Easter, just like Christmas, guys, it has been hijacked. It is inverted. Of course, we could shift it. We could shift the holidays by reinverting it back to focusing on the goodness of what Easter represents, which is spring, a new beginning, the real true new year. And then, of course, celebrating our ability to overcome death, the resurrection, which is the spiritual significance of Christmas, by the way. No, I'm sorry, of Easter. The spiritual significance of Easter is overcoming death. And then Christmas, it's all about, communion and bringing people together, right? Bringing people together and partaking with, feelings of love, compassion, service to others, and so on and so forth. So we could bypass the inverted version of Saturnalia, which was a pagan holiday, and turn it into good. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just take some questions at this time. Laurel Ann Brownie says, I did order the secret government. Arrives April 1st. Face turquoise, drinking coffee. Nice. Let's see, who else is in the house? I'm looking for questions. Questions. Sandra says, I just made deviled eggs. Thank you, Mags. Mags Hill says, I ordered the secret government too. Thank you, Mags Hill. You guys are going to love all that knowledge in that book. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. You won't want to put it down. All right. I've come to understand that when you start reading this book, especially when I take you guys back to, what happened after the flood with the three sons of Noah, Shem, Japheth, and Ham, and how Ham was used by the Dark Brotherhood to reinstate the reptilian bloodline. It's just going to make a lot of sense. Anyways, so I'm going to go ahead and just take some questions here. I just saw a super chat. Where did it go? Stuart Williams is in the house. How you doing, brother? Ismael, I meant to say when I wear a red jumper, my eyes go blue. Okay. Well, too late now, brother. Sarah is gone. But you know what? We're going to have her back. She agreed to come back in the future, near future. So next time I have her back, this is what we'll do, guys. We'll talk for about 20 to 30 minutes. And then for the next 30 minutes, I'll let you guys have Sarah all to yourselves, and you guys can ask her questions, okay? On the next one. So get all your questions ready. I still want to bring back Laura Eisenhower. I think you guys really loved that interview with Laura Eisenhower a few weeks ago. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can bring her back eventually soon. And oh, by the way, I do have a guest, not next Saturday, but actually this Wednesday. So what I'm going to do is actually this Wednesday, not next Saturday, because I know I have guests on Saturdays, but this coming Wednesday, I have a special surprise, a Arcturian human hybrid who was actually born on an Arcturian mothership. Some of you know who I'm talking about, some of you don't, but she is going to be my guest this coming Wednesday. And I've had an opportunity to work with her on certain panels, on some of these expos and conferences. I think some of you guys know who I'm talking about. She's going to be joining me this coming Wednesday. She was literally born on a mothership, okay? Surprise. It's going to be a surprise, guys. Oh, and by the way, as a reminder, my global mass meditation coming up on the 8th, which is on a Monday, the 8th of April, guys, 10 o'clock in the morning. Make sure you guys are here. And if you can't make it for whatever reason, due to work or any other thing that you might be doing, don't forget to just take some time off and in your own privacy, in your own contemplation, just, collectively think and feel what you guys would like the new earth to be, right? Don't forget to use your feelings as well, right? But I will be doing a guided meditation that's going to go from 10 a.m. to about 11 a.m., which is right around the time that the solar eclipse begins to peak. Ricky Lee 1111 says, book is on the way. Awesome. Thank you, Ricky Lee. And also, for those that have already received the book, if you guys are, by the time you guys are done reading it, when you're done, if you guys could also write a testimony, right? A what is it called? Give it a review. Give it a review. Go to Amazon and give the book a review. That would be greatly appreciated. Let's see, who else is here? Yes, this is true. This is obviously true that Carrie Cassidy, but this is not coming from Carrie Cassidy. This is coming from NASA. NASA is planning on shooting 3 missiles at the moon during the eclipse. That is absolutely true. Again, right now we are existing in an infinite number of timelines. So perhaps that is perhaps that is part of a negative timeline that is going to be canceled out as we collapse all infinite number of timelines into 3 as of the 8th of April. Okay, so bear in mind that there is no need to fear. All right. There is no need to fear. I guarantee you guys that after the 8th of April, we're still going to be meeting here on my YouTube channel with more and more content to share, okay? Let's see. Cosmic Goddess has a super chat. Where is she? Let me find it. Where is her super chat? I'm looking for Cosmic Goddess's super chat. I don't see it. Oh, wait, is that it? Cosmic Goddess. Oh, yes, super chat. There we go. So, Cosmic Goddess is in the house. She says, greetings, Ismael. I woke up in the morning, could not open my eyes or speak for a while. Excuse me. It's like I was paralyzed. What was this about? Your thoughts, please. Well, we did have Misha Johnston last week, right? Last Saturday. So perhaps her telling us about, sleep paralysis, perhaps because of the fact that you were thinking a lot about that, maybe it reached your subconscious mind, and in a way it manifested last night or as you woke up. That is probably my, you could say that is probably what happened. But again, I could be wrong. I'm not sure. But what we do know is that when we are in a state of sleep paralysis, it's because certain entities are trying to, mess with us, extract genetics, or something like that. That's what we do know. So, Cosmic Goddess, I am sorry that that happened to you, but bear in mind, sister, that sleep paralysis has happened to all of us, especially when we were children, of course. I don't know if you guys remember, or even teenagers. So perhaps, my sister, you had an experience. You had a interdimensional experience with some entity, some kind. So I'm just hoping that that entity is good. That entity is part of your star family and was just there to upgrade you, pretty much. So Sylvia Rochelu, is it Rochelu 777? She says, I ordered your book. I will receive it tomorrow. Nice. Thank you, Sylvia. Enjoy the knowledge. Enjoy the knowledge. Yes, I know. Last night on my Rumble channel, for those that haven't had a chance to watch it, I actually dived deep into some of the stuff that I talked about in the secret government that could actually get me in trouble, but it's okay because on Rumble I can do whatever I want. If you guys want to check that out, go to my website, because in my website you can actually access all of my links, my Rumble, TikTok, Instagram, social medias. So if you guys go to my website, go to where it says Rumble, and don't forget to subscribe. I'm going to be going raw on Rumble, discussing more information that is within the book, The Secret Government, every Friday, okay? So make sure you guys subscribe to Rumble. There is a lot of information in this book. Put it this way, guys. I had to read 200 to 300 books, about 57 documents, about three different classified papers, studied everything about Nicera back in 2005, and the law, right, the new laws that are associated with the Nicera law, and put it all in one book. So yeah, a lot of my references are in the back. Okay, it is all the information you guys need to know from all these different manuscripts put into perspective in one book. All right, guys. So I hope you guys enjoy all of that knowledge. Let's see, anything else? All right, this is good from Neo. This is a good question from Neo. What is going to happen to all the people that don't believe Enki is good? Well, I think they're going to have a rude awakening. Yeah, especially some of the people that are like giving false information, that are being used by Enki. From what I understand is that they're going to be deplatformed. Okay, they're going to lose their platform, especially when the white hats take over. Because, like I said before, and I'll say it again, guys, when the white hats take over through Project Odin, only the good truthers, the real deals are going to be left behind. All the other ones are going to be taken out from the platform. That's all I know, guys. So yeah, it's going to happen. So they're going to be shocked. Let's see. I'm looking for more questions. Let's see. I'm looking for questions. Question: what will happen? Oh yeah, so I've already answered that from Neo. Do you guys have any more questions for me? For those that are just jumping on, I did have a full hour with Sarah Breskman Cosme, who studied Dolores Cannon method, QHHT, and had a life transformative experience as a result of her diving into some of these sessions. So yeah, it's really good stuff. Let's see. David Hakes is saying, Ismael, did Tucker Carlson's folks contacted you yet? No, not yet. I don't know if he were supposed to contact. Did you guys give Tucker Carlson or his people my information? Is that what you're saying, David Hakes? Because no, I haven't received any contact from his people. But that would be good if I could all of a sudden meet with Tucker Carlson and blow his mind away as to how deep the rabbit hole goes, right? So in his mind, right, he sees it as globalization and the liberals, right, which are the Democrats. But that's the layer that he perceives only. He doesn't see, even Alex Jones blew his mind. And Alex Jones is still very, just talking about, very first level surface stuff still, of course, revealing all of the corruption. But Alex Jones doesn't talk about interdimensions, other universes, or extraterrestrials. In fact, I think he's more geared towards the, what's in the Bible and, religion and stuff like that. But in either case, Alex Jones is still awesome, for exposing at least the first layer of corruption, right? And exposing that there is an NWO and globalist and all that. Let's see. Do I have any more questions? All right, guys. There is a. I wanted to give you guys a new revelation that was actually inspired by Jenny Lee, and this is has a lot to do with the idea of a third brother to Enki, Poseidon, and Enlil, Zeus. The third brother. There was a third missing brother that the Sumerian tablets and all those ancient records left behind, right? I didn't want people to know about the third brother, but I think I'm going to go deeper into that because it's starting to make a lot of sense. That there was a third Anunnaki brother that was conveniently left out of the ancient records and all history books. But I think I might have to bring, yeah, Zeus, his origin is from Lyra. Absolutely, yes. The lineage of Zeus could be traceable through Anu, right, all the way to Jehovah of Sirius and King Kael of Sirius B and King Amelius of Lyra. So those were his ancestors. Zeus does represent the Lion Kingdom, the kingdom of the felines. Oh, this is a good one. This question is, do you think timelines are starting to collapse? Text green, game over. Text green, game over. Absolutely. And from what I understand is, yes, guys, there will be an attempt to restart the Hadron Collider, the particle accelerator. But to our surprise, it's not being done by the dark cats. It's actually being done by the good guys to begin the collapsing of the infinite amount of timelines that are coexisting, both negative and positive, as I speak. So the beginning, the catalyst of the conversion, of the great conversion of the multiverse is going to take place on the 8th. So that's why it's very important that we gather all the forces of light, all the light warriors, light workers, indigo starseeds, to collectively gather and do the work and bring forth that collective power and anchor in, of course, the most positive timeline. Because this is it, this is going to be a battle of the collective, right? This is going to lean, what ultimately happens will determine on where the collective was mainly, it's like when you're weighing something, right? One of them is going to outweigh the other. And I believe that because we already won that war in the future, it has been prophesied about that we do bring in the organic positive timeline. But there's going to be a middle timeline. Remember, I've been talking about this, guys. There will be a middle timeline, and Sarah Breskman Cosme has confirmed that, as well as Dolores Cannon. So there will be a middle timeline where you're going to have both angelic, organic humans, superhumans, and of course cyborgs, okay, and Earth Terrans. So in that timeline is going to be like DC Comics, right? Right? It's going to be interesting, but yeah, all the timelines are going to be collapsing into 3 as of the 8th. So this is another question from Indigo Star 88. He is saying, will the military exist in the 4th dimension? This is a question from Indigo Star 888. Well, it is going to be reformed. It's going to be basically the United States Space Force that is going to be the new military, as the Earth Alliance, consisting of, again, 22, I guess I'm revealing the new Earth structure, 22 federated regions, all under the galactic infrastructure and leadership of the new spiritual council that is about to externalize on this planet when the shift takes place. And that spiritual council is going to be in charge of the United States. Well, at that point, it's just going to be the Planet Earth Interplanetary Space Force. That's what it's going to be called. As we shift into the 5D Earth, in the 4th Earth, I'm sorry, as well as the 5D, but in the 4th Earth, it's going to be known as the Interplanetary Police Space Force, which is going to be an interplanetary merging of Solar Warden and, of course, the United States Space Force becoming one. So that's what's going to happen in the 4D. And now in the 5D, we're not going to have the Interplanetary Space Force. We're actually going to have a magical world, right? We're going to be using the internal technology, not external. So in the 5D, that's where all the magic is going to take place. That's where we're going to be able to travel the different dimensional planes and realities through our light body and our dormant DNA that is about to come on in the 5th dimension through the crystalline structure. So that's going to be a little different. There's going to be, however, a version of the Interplanetary Space Force that is also going to be corresponding in the 5th dimension, but it's not going to be occupied by, let's just say, 4th dimensional Earth terrans. It's going to be occupied by, star seeds that have activated their supernatural powers, you could say. And then at that point in the 5th dimension, from this Earth, from this solar system, this Earth, planet Earth is going to be at now the epicenter of the entire super universe of Orvonton. We're going to be the epicenter, the new throne of the new guardians of councils that is going to emerge through the activation of the dormant DNA to oversee the different realms and the different worlds and galaxies from this planet. So yes, we're going to have a huge role to play in the coming new Earth structure. So will military, there we go. The military will exist on different levels of reality and existing quite differently, to answer your question. Let's see. I want to welcome all 639 people that are in the house for Q&A. Yes, Gemini Moon is reminding us to hit the like button. And if you guys are new to my channel, please subscribe. Thank you. Thank you. This also helps me eventually eliminate all my other pirated channels. So I got 1 down or 2 down. I still have 4 more to go, 4 more pirated channels to eliminate. And then it's just going to be the real Ismael Perez YouTube channel, right? Because remember, guys, I have some people, some fake accounts that are trying to be me that are not me. Whoever these people are, I can't believe that. Anyway, so I'm going to continue answering questions here. Sarah's last name is spelled Breskman. Let's see if I could. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and just. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put this here in the front for everybody to see. So that's her name, Sarah Breskman Cosme. And this is her website. And of course, if you guys watch it on the replay, her website is going to also be in the description. All right, guys, let's see. Any other questions? I'm just looking for questions. Let's see. All right, so Mathis Chronicles is asking me a question. So Mathis Chronicles is saying, Ish, explain Wonder Soul designation. Please, Ish, explain Wonder Soul designation. Please, Ish, damn it. Oh, okay. Wow, okay. So Brother, you have to understand, I have 639 people in the chat. The chat goes so fast, so it's not like I'm trying to deliberately ignore certain people. I'm trying to do my best here, but hey, at least I got to your question, okay? Let's see. Explain a wanderer soul. Well, you've heard of volunteers, right? We could say that there are different levels of volunteers. Some of the volunteers come from dimensions 4, 5, and 6, which are what we would consider extraterrestrials, Pleiadians, Arcturians, Andromedans, Lyrans, right? We also have some volunteers that chose to come from dimensions 7, 8, and 9, and those are the angelics, by the way. So we have two types of incarnated helpers. We have the star seeds from dimensions 4, 5, and 6, which come from the advanced interplanetary systems, right? Which is our past and our future combined. And then we also have celestial beings that come from the dimensions where they don't use external technology, where they just use strictly intertechnology light body. And those are equivalent to what we read about in the holy books as the angels. And then, so I would say that the angels and the archangels, believe it or not, there is a group of us down here that are archangels that have incarnated in human form. They come from dimensions 10, 11, and 12. So the wanderers are really the archangels and the angels, whereas the star seeds are the people from 4, 5, and 6. However, all three wanderers, archangels, angels, and star seeds, are all considered, in a way, star seeds, because overall they do come from a higher dimension. But a wanderer is a term given to a person who has already reached a high level of reality, or is coming from a high level of reality. And in comparison to our realm here in the 3D density, it's like they're like wandering. So that's why they call them wanderers. But overall, all the volunteers do fall under the different categories of starseeds, right? You have physical extraterrestrials from dimensions 5 and 6 that are still physical, but their bodies are a little bit more, subtle. They're a little bit more, they're less denser, right? They're taller, right? The Atlanteans were fifth dimensional galactic humans, right? Our ancestors. And then you have the celestials that are using just pretty much an etheric type of matter that is far less physical, but light at the same time. And then finally, you have those that are just using pure light. They don't use any physical avatars, but they could manifest and materialize any physical avatar at will. So we have a mixture down here. Some of you guys are extraterrestrials from dimensions 4, 5, and 6, and some of you guys are angels from dimensions 7, 8, and 9, and then some of you guys are archangels from dimensions 10, 11, and 12. But overall, we have the whole group down here at this time, right? This is what the ancients called the externalization of the spiritual hierarchy on the earth. It wasn't just the return of all the ascended beings. It was the return of the entire host of heaven in human form. That's why you have, different grades of volunteers coming from different realities. I'm looking for questions here. So this is a good one. This is a good question from, what's your name? Bethel Sogi. So how are the wicked going to be removed from the earth? Is it through earth, or they will disappear? Well, they're definitely going to be removed from the positive organic ascending timeline. And for those that are part of the elites, right, that have already become cyborgs, they're going to be part of the AI timeline. I guess part of the awakening, right, or part of revealing more information, is that a lot of these people that we see that are in positions of power, especially those that are controlling big tech, global politics, are no longer organic, guys. They are not organic. So when people were saying that they were clones, they're actually a little bit more than clones. They're the first level of transhumanists, you could say, right? So That's how they're all being controlled. Let's see. So yeah, so they're going to be disappearing from the positive ascending timeline. And for those that made a pact with the Ahriman, right, the AI god, for those that made a pact, a covenant with him, are going to unfortunately become more so robotic in the future and less organic as they sell their souls to the, to the AI, which is the Antichrist. All right, so this is a good one. So this is coming from Energy from Stars. Energy from Stars. She says, hello, Ismael. You mentioned Red Queen in some of your videos. Who is she? That's a very good question. So it turns out that the Cabal, particularly those of the Dark Fleet, which was an alliance between the Nazis and the Draco, were implementing in Antarctica in base 311. They were implementing the you could say a device that was going to broadcast information from the Betelgeuse star system in Orion, right? Broadcast information. This information is coming from an intergalactic AI signal, I guess. And so there was one located in Orion, which is really the mother box, or we could say the mind hive of the board mind that controls all the robotic, what are they called, grays, and all of the extraterrestrials that are pretty much aligned with artificial intelligence. And so what they did is they established a double of the what they call the Red Queen of Orion that exists within the Betelgeuse star system, and they created a earthly version of her, but they created that in deep in the underground you could say area of the Colorado airport. So physically speaking, that's where this advancing computing AI system that was, again, the duplicate of the Orion one was established in Colorado, deep in the underground there in Colorado, that was corresponding to another technology that was set up by the Draco, or may I say the Dark Fleet, the Nazi Draco Alliance, in Antarctica base 211. I'm sorry, that was called base 211, where the Draco had established their headquarters after they fled Germany. So the super AI advancing system, codenamed the Red Queen, was designed to study, because they knew that we, the volunteers, right, the Indigos, the Celestials, the Wanderers, whatever you want to call us, that we were going to be coming in and influences. So the AI system was programmed to study our abilities, to study our, everything about us, right? How we were going to develop our powers and so on and so forth for a future battle. And in order to duplicate our abilities and create a drone, or may I say an android army, but that was supposed to be part of the negative timeline agenda. However, thanks to the victory of the light on every probable reality, right, that timeline was averted. Okay, so by virtue of that, we've actually defeated the Red Queen back in 2018. That's when it was disconnected, thanks to the Earth Alliance and the Galactic Alliance, and of course with the collaboration and help of the founders, right? The ancient Batals that are here assisting us again, members of the Central Race. They had to return in order to disconnect that from happening, because that was just going to end up very, very bad. That was going to, create the Omega verse, right? The timeline where the AI God won everything, and they had developed these duplicate army of androids that was going to match us in power and therefore destroy us at the end of the millennium, when the last battle takes place. But fortunately for us, the Red Queen was dismantled in 2008, thanks to the entire team of the Galactic Alliance. This is a good question. This is coming from Alvin Francisco. Alvin Francisco is asking me, are there any aliens in the sea ocean? Well, for one, we do have a remnant of the Atlantean civilization that mutated into part fish, part humanoid. They're humanoid from here down, they're fish from here down. Mermans and mermaids, guys. There is a mermaid kingdom that was an offshoot of the Atlantean civilization that is capable of living underwater. So that's the main one that exists there. But I'm also sure that there has been, through the, again, shadow government underground interconnected network, some of these, passageways connect with certain undersea civilizations. And there are a few civilizations, extraterrestrial civilizations, that actually also live within the water, but are not like breathing in the water, right? They create it like a dome that that pretty much protect them from the ocean's water, but deep in the water beds of the ocean. So this is way deep. Okay. Again, we've only scratched like maybe 7% of the ocean's depth. There's still 94% that we haven't, scanned or measured. So you have to bear in mind that some of these extraterrestrial civilizations have the technology, as I explained in my first class, right? When I talk about the different types of advanced civilizations, well, a type 2 stellar civilization has the technology to create under ocean cities, but where they're covered, like where there's massive domes that are covering their civilization. And so they have passageways, entry points where their spaceships could go to and from our ocean beds to different planets and back, where they don't even, or sometimes, there's been footage, right, of certain UFOs coming out of the ocean, coming out of the water. Well, that's another example of the aircraft that is coming from these ocean civilizations. So yeah, there's a few of those, but again, there is also an advanced mermaid civilization that was the remnant of the original Atlantean civilization. Just looking for a question. Let's see. I'm just looking for a question that I've never answered. All right, well, this is interesting. This is coming from a galactic Jedi by the name of Evan. Let me see. Evan Star 303. Evan Star 303 says, if you sing, I love you, I love you, I love you to the negative entities, they run away. Love is poison to them. Makes a lot of sense, brother. Thank you for sharing. Gemini has a super chat. Well, where is it at? Where is Gemini super chat? I'm looking for Gemini super chat. Thank you guys for telling me about these super chats, because, again, sometimes the software, the YouTube, I don't know, whoever is inside my computer, AI, deletes certain things. Okay, they delete certain things. I have no control over it. Weird stuff has been happening with my technology, but I think it's happening to a lot of people's technology. I'm looking for a question that I've never answered. I do want to welcome all almost 700 people that are in the house. All right, so this is another super chat that I found from Energy from Stars. Thank you. She says, "Hi Ishmael. During one of your videos, you mentioned Red Queen. Who is she?" Oh, I've already answered that. I went into a long rant. The Red Queen. All right, this is an interesting one, and I want to bring it up because some of you could probably relate to this. Ready? This is coming from Robert Branco. Robert Branco saying, Ishmael, I am not sure, but I think that this is my first incarnation in in the third dimension. I think I'm coming from the second dimension, and I think I was devoured by a pack of wild dogs. Interesting. I did mention, Robert, that there are souls that start their evolution from the bottom up, right? First, they become the consciousness of a mineral, then a plant, and then an animal. They graduate to the animal kingdom, and then they become human. So that could be true. And the reason I said some of you might relate is because sometimes it's the other way around. Sometimes you have never had an incarnation in the three dimension. You straight just come for the first time. I have a few people that have told me, Ishmael, I'm not used to this realm. I'm not used to having this physical body of flesh and blood. I think this is my first time incarnating from a higher dimension into the third dimension. So it's also the other way around, guys. It's also the other way around. Eagle Warrior says, thank you, Ishmael. I always learn something new. Well, awesome. Thank you. Let's see. We have another super chat from Joyful. Joyful, how you doing, Joyful? This is a question from Joyful. Welcome, welcome. Ishmael, do we have to wait until 2025 for medbeds? And as Sarah now that solar flash is again changed. It's a time frame, Joyful. It could happen. It could happen this summer. It could happen this fall. It could happen this winter. But what I do know is that it's going to happen before 2020, before the end or summer of 2025, somewhere between now and the middle of 2025. And that is based on hardcore science. And also that's based on the actual sacred calendars of the timekeeping systems. They all are pointing to the biggest solar CMEs at solar maximum coming in between now and 2025, midway 2025. So again, Joyful, it could still happen next week, in 2 weeks. I'm not giving you an exact date, but I'm giving you a time frame, okay? But it will happen before the end of 2025. I'd say by mid 2025, to be exact. All right, so I'm just looking for questions. Oh, there we go. So again, guys, the solar flash could happen next week. It could happen on the 8th. It could happen after that. It could happen months after that. The end of the year, summer, anytime between now and middle 2025. Okay, that's the time frame. And I've mentioned this before. Nobody knows the exact date or hour. All right, but based on sacred calendrical systems, timekeeping systems, cycles based on cycles, and also based on solar weather reports. It looks like we are expecting some sort of a huge, massive shift that some would call a parenting event. Parenting event, right? So it's happening between now and no later than 2025 mid-year. But guys, we should also focus on the journey. We should also focus on our experience. You know, we're about to integrate. So it's not just about, you know, yes, I know we're waiting for all of this to come through, but at the same time, let's start acting and living as if it's already here, right? Let's be grateful. Let's be grateful that we've made it this far, you know. Here's another super chat from Joe Piscopo. Joe Piscopo, he says, will the surface dwellers get to see DIA airport tunnels as tourists and such? That's a very good question. I would say that there's going to be footage, of course. There's going to be footage by the new media showing people these huge underground tunnels and the way they connect themselves. And how deep they go. You know, some of them are miles long, guys. Some of these subterranean, cities are miles long, and they're all connected through bullet trains. So yes, I would say that, that the people of the earth are eventually going to see those, and not to mention have access to the inner earth as well. So I think that we're going to be going on field trips to the inner earth. We're going to be able to get to see the inner earth civilizations, Agartha, Shambhala, and other civilizations, because we are going to be matching their frequency, right? When we are vibrating at a high level frequency of love, compassion, brotherhood, and sisterhood, we're going to be able to interact with these positive races and go on trips to the inner earth. But at the same time, understand that the kingdom is also going to be externalized in the surface world, in the 5-dimensional timeline. So yeah, there are going to be, we are going to be taking trips to the inner earth, and some of us are going to be down there for months, years, and then come back up. Some of us are going to have apartments down there, right? Or homes down there, and we're going to have a home here on the surface and a home down there, and you get to, go back and forth if you want. I mean, this is going to be the kingdom of God, multidimensional. We're going to have access to all the layers. Aquaman, somebody says. Yep, the mermen and the mermaids are real, guys. They do have their own kingdom, and they're very, very spiritually advanced. And there has been footage captured by sailors. I've seen them where you can't really fake it. These are mermaid people. No, Enki is an Aquaman. No. Aquaman, yes, I know there is a resemblance there between Enki Poseidon's trident and the Aquaman trident, but I would say that the Atlanteans, especially those that went to the water, do have, again, they are probably descendants of Enki, but it's not necessarily mean that they're evil, okay? The evil bloodline of Enki that took over the affairs of the world, right? Corresponding to the bloodline, the serpent seed of the Leviathan bloodline, was Marduk and Nabu, the fathers of Nimrod of Babylon. All right, so all that is in my book. All that is in my book. A book that was actually taken down after a few months of publishing. Sorry, after a few months of publishing, back in 2008, my book was taken down. Only 3,000 people read it, and then they took it down because of all of that information. They didn't want people to know everybody that I revealed in this book and all their workings and operations. All right, let me go ahead and answer Alvin. Alvin says, awesome, thank you. You're welcome, brother, and thank you so much for the super chat. The Green Man. Okay, so the Green Man is actually, well, the Green Man could be two personages. One of them is probably Osiris, because Osiris was green, but Osiris was actually a good god. He was actually a positive Anunnaki. Osiris and Isis, okay? Or there's also reference to a third brother that was not mentioned in the ancient texts. I won't reveal his name here, but soon, as I gather more information, I will be doing a live revealing the lost, unheard of brother. There was Enki, Poseidon, there was Enlil Zeus, and then there was, I'll give you guys a code, the fisherman. He went by the fisherman. So he could have also been symbolically known as the green bean. So this is a good question that ties into revealing the connection between the NWO and the resurrection of the Holy Roman Empire, right? The missing element between the Illuminati and the Vatican, all revealed in this book. But to answer this question, if the Pope's cardinals were taken to Gitmo, who's running the Vatican? A bunch of robots are. That's all I'm going to say, guys. A bunch of robots are. People that are no longer organic, they are robotic. They are robotic. And that's something that we're going to be dealing with as well. See, our Earth Alliance military force is not just taking down humans, they're taking down literal clones that are more robotic now than they are organic. Right? These are the fake ones. The real ones, the organic ones, we're taking to Gitmo. So these are the fake ones that are running the show, and are eventually, I would say, I mean, okay, the arrest have already began, including the arrest of what remains of the clones, which are really more robotic than they are organic. Gemini Moon says, I don't see her super chat. Well, where is it? Where is her super chat? Okay, Gemini Moon I would like to know, why are they shooting missiles at the moon on April 8th? Again, every probable timeline is happening right now, but after the 8th or during the 8th, when the solar eclipse, not solar flash, the solar eclipse peaks, there is going to be a merging of timelines into only three. So on the fact that they're launching 3 rockets to the moon, that's part of a current timeline that is going to cease to exist on the 8th. And yes, they are firing up CERN, but it's not the bad guys, it's the good guys, right? The good guys are going to collapse it in order for them to overcome the old kingdom, right? Solar eclipse is the fall of kings, right? Symbolically speaking, it signifies the fall of kings. Well, who do you think the kingdom is? The kingdom of Lucifer. That's what the solar eclipse is all about. On one of the positive timelines, whether it's the middle or the top, it's going to be the transitioning of power from the Cabal to the White Hats. The Cabal represents the Dragon King or the Serpent King. The White Hats represent the King of the Lion. The Lion King. There we go. The Lion King, right? Simba has returned. Simba has returned to overcome and overthrow the evil ring of his uncle Scar, symbolically speaking, in the Lion King. That's exactly what's happening after the 8th, or on the 8th. All right, one more question, and then I'm going to end my live. So I see some of you guys are requesting a group meditation tonight. I I guess we could end with that. All right, so let's get comfortable. Yeah, let's finish with a group meditation. I see a lot of you, some of you guys are requesting. All right, guys, let's bring our minds together as one, right? For those that are taking my class, I talk about the different dimensions and how we really could all become part of a unimind, an organic unimind as we go into the 6th dimension. Well, let's practice that right now. Let's practice us merging into a unimind so that we could, as a collective unimind, for those that are watching it on the live and for those that are watching it on the replay, however views this gets, we're going to use the power of all of these views and all of these people involved to only manifest things that are good, things that are in harmony with the ecosystem, things that are in harmony with the natural cycle, things that are healthy, things that are joyful, things that are peaceful, and things that are full of abundance. Let's focus on that. As we usher in a new timeline collectively as a group, we, the collective, decree a beautiful, harmonious, balanced world full of joy, happiness, and peace, and harmony and balance, where every individual is exalted to using their full capacity and all of their talents are exercised as they contribute to the greater whole known as humanity. See everyone in the world symbolically coming together as one, where all the differences begin to fade away, all the little boxes that people put themselves in, all these religions, all these political ideologies all of a sudden dissolve and it's just one humanity. As stated in the John Lennon song, imagine all the people. Imagine if there was no religion, no politicians. That's the kind of world we want to live in. We call upon the release of all hidden technology, free energy devices, medbits, holographic regenerators, replicators, anti-gravity aircraft, healing modalities, light chambers, everything restored to the earth at this time. And we decree all this in the name of our collective mighty I am presence. So be it. So be it. If you guys feel like extending this meditation furthermore, please do. Sit in your own quiet space and just think and feel what it's like to live in your own version of heaven on earth. With that in mind, guys, I will be going live tomorrow night. No, not tomorrow night. Sorry, tomorrow night is Sunday. Monday night for a White Hat update, galactic report, as well as, let's see, on Wednesday. Don't forget that I'm going to have my guest, not next Saturday. She is a human Arcturian hybrid who was actually born on a mothership, so she will be telling us her story and some of the transmissions and channeled information that she gets from her star galactic family. So with that in mind, oh, and by the way, I did open up a new class, not this coming Saturday, which is today, but next Saturday, 7 days from today, a week from today, next Saturday, I do have a class for those that are interested. I'm only taking, I believe now 20 individuals. I opened it up for a few more people. I still want to keep it, small and personal so that way I could address each and every single one of you and get to know each and every single one of you. So that class is next Saturday. And anything else? Oh yeah, I'm going to be at the Biomed Expo, I believe in 2 weekends. I'm going to be here in LA presenting at the Biomed Alien event. And then on the 19th, which is in 3 weeks, heading over to San Rafael at the Living Conscious Expo in San Rafael, Northern California. So I would hope to meet some of you guys in person, and I will take one final super chat from Eddie. Eddie says, I love mushroom coffee. Well, thank you for sharing that, brother. All right, guys. Don't forget, if you guys haven't had a chance to order our Cosmic Origin, it has become a bestseller. There's a reason why. The knowledge in this book is very dense, but yet, again, it's a huge revelation beyond proportion. So if you guys thought our Cosmic Origin was mind-blowing, this is probably as equal to that mind-blowing information. So I will talk to you guys and see you guys Monday at 6 o'clock Pacific time, 9 o'clock Eastern. May the God force be with you all, always.